Hello everyone, welcome to the next session on SAP ABAP on HANA training. In the last session, we saw the basics of CDS views in ABAP. In today's class, we will go and create and understand some more advanced concepts in CDS views. At the end, we will create a Fiori application based on OData service, which we will expose via CDS views in SAP Web IDE. This session will cover a lot of important aspects which you can use in your real time. For example, exposing your OData service over the cloud in HANA Cloud Platform, which is now known as SAP Cloud Platform. How to configure SAP Cloud Connector to expose your OData service from an on-premise system to your cloud system, and then consume this OData service to build an end-to-end Fiori application. And this OData service will be built on top of CDS views. In the next episode, we will also talk about S4HANA CDS views. What is so special when it comes to SAP S4HANA? How does the virtual data model in S4HANA works? It's called VDM. And there are also UI annotations in SAP S4HANA, which will help you to build amazing analytical applications without writing single JavaScript line of code. And we will be building a complete end-to-end overview page kind of application, which is basically an analytical list page application. I will show you in the next unit. But in today's unit, we will go discuss about CDS views. Another interesting difference what you will find here is majority of the trainers you will see, they will only and only cover basic examples of CDS views, which they would have downloaded from internet or they would have seen on Open SAP trainings. And they copy paste these examples and show you the output, and that's how they complete the training. They don't know anything deep inside the concepts, and especially when it comes to latest NetWeaver version, which is SAP NetWeaver 7.5, there are new concepts which are introduced and hardly very few trainers knows about it. Another interesting aspect here is nobody will explain you how to consume these OData services in Fiori apps. We will see that in today's episode of SAP ABAP on HANA training. So let's get started with the session. In the last session, I will quickly show you what we have done. In our SAP HANA system, we have created by far a CDS view. We discussed about what is a CDS view. CDS stands for Core Data Services. It provides you an abstraction between the database and application layer. And this is one of the best way to do code push down. We also looked at in our previous sessions about ABAP managed data procedures. We looked at the disadvantages of AMDPs, that you have to manage all the client handling in AMDP code yourself. Okay. I will take up the question somewhere in the middle of the course, middle of today's session. So please park your question for a moment. Let me reach till some level, and then I will give you opportunity to ask your questions as well. Then we saw that there are two types of CDS views without parameters and with parameters. And S4HANA point of view, we discussed that there are three types of views: basic views, which are also known as interface views, created on master tables, used to build dimensions; composite views, which are acts like intermediate views between consumption and basic views. And these views are basically combine the fact table along with your dimensions. And finally, the consumption view, which is also known as analytical queries. So your analytical tools, like some tools I will be discussing in the next unit, which you can use in SAP S4HANA to consume your analytical consumption views directly and showcase some results to the end user. Also, your Fiori application makes use of the consumption view at the end to expose all the data on the user interface. There are other BW analytical tools which makes use of this analytical query or consumption view at the end of the day. We will see these types of views with respect to S4HANA in our next unit. But in today's unit, we will look at some important topics which we could not cover in the last class. So just have a quick look at the last session. We had created a couple of CDS views, and I have already noted down all the code in the notepad file and uploaded in our training blog. So first we saw a business partner simple view where we expose the master data for business partner from SNWD underscore business partner table. And then we also saw how can we write a case expression as part of our CDS views. The next was we had selected the data from these CDS views in our ABAP program. So as you all know that when we create a CDS view, it basically creates two artifacts in the system. One, it creates a CDS SQL view, which is visible as a normal view in SE11 transaction, and another is called CDS entity. A CDS entity is enriched by annotations, and you will see the use of these some of these annotations in upcoming chapter. We will discuss in tomorrow's class how powerful these annotations are and how can they be used to build your end-to-end Fiori application without writing single line of code. Okay, so these two artifacts gets created when it comes to CDS view. So we saw consuming our CDS data using ABAP program was pretty simple with one of these option, but on a regular basis when you're consuming, make sure that you use CDS entity because it also gives you access to the metadata of your CDS. Then we saw the join concept. In the join concept, we saw that CDS is basically a query where we write a join between the invoice header and business partner table, and as well as we also included the sales order table. And this join we have incorporated and got some results. We also applied some aggregation of total purchase of a particular customer. Then we also use some conditions along with the aggregations in our code to display the most valuable customers who has given maximum sales for a particular period of time in the last year. Then we looked at again consumption of this in ABAP program. And finally, we moved on to our example of CDS views with import parameter. So we saw how can we pass an input parameter to a CDS view. And based on this input value, it was then filtering up the customers or the companies and their corresponding sales orders. And then we moved on to some more functions. So how can we implement functions in CDS views? We saw that we can do round off, we can do different functions we can make use of along with CDS view. And the beauty of all this is it gets pushed down to the database level. Only the final result set gets transferred from the database layer to the application layer when you use CDS views. And then finally, we looked at example with association. So basically a join condition we converted into an association. And this is where we ended our last class. There is more to the association which we will investigate now in today's class. So let's get started with our last example. I will quickly show you now in the system what we have done when it comes to association. Okay, I will take up your questions somewhere in the middle of the session. Again, I repeat, so please park your question for the time being. Let me make the flow of the session today, and then I will take up each and every question in the middle of the session. Let's get started. So I will quickly connect to our ABAP on HANA system. So you can see this is our ABAP on Eclipse, and now we have connected already to our ABAP on HANA system running in SAP Cal. Now, if you don't know what is SAP Cal and how to set up your ABAP on HANA server, I request you to please look at my YouTube video. So I've already posted a YouTube video of how to set up your own server in SAP Cal. So please go to YouTube and just check out my channel on the YouTube. And once you go to my channel on YouTube, you will find the video for how to set up your own ABAP on HANA server. This YouTube video has already been posted over here. So let me just quickly show you where is that video. So this will be very helpful if you are a beginner and you want to get started with ABAP on HANA without following anybody. You can set up your own server in SAP Cal. This is what we have also covered as part of our training by far. So this is the YouTube video you can use and watch and set up your ABAP on HANA server yourself with SAP NetWeaver 7.5, which is latest, and SAP HANA 1.0 SP10. So that's my YouTube video for setting up your own server. It's available publicly on YouTube. Okay, let's move on. So this was what we have done. And now just let me quickly go to preferences to increase the font size so that you guys will be able to look it up in a better way. So let me just go to my ABAP development and then maybe the general settings for editor and just increase the font size for my text editor so that you will be easily able to see what am I doing here. So let me just go to text and increase the size. This is, by the way, I have also recently installed today Eclipse Oxygen, And I had already imported ABAP development toolkit. This has already been covered in our previous session, how to set up Eclipse as well as use latest ABAP development toolkit as part of Eclipse. This was already also covered in our previous class. Okay, so let me just quickly go there and increase the size, font size. So I got to again quickly see, look at the default font and edit the font size for our content. Make it 14, apply, and oops, I think I did the wrong thing. Restore the defaults. So this changed the font size for Eclipse actually. And I think we have the editor section to change the font size quickly. Let me just quickly check. This was okay. So you can see here I search for editor and properties file text font, and here I have changed the font size to maybe 14 and applied it and say apply and close. So that increases my font size in the ABAP development tools on Eclipse, and now we can easily see this content over here. So this was the last CDS view which we had created. Let me just quickly run this CDS view and show you the output. So it's basically doing some aggregation of sales amount and invoice amount for every customer. It's grouping by the result based on customer name. Now there is also a join condition which is represented by association in CDS views. You can see here, this is the join condition. Now, what else I want? So if you guys remember our Fury training, we have talked about OData services, and I want to ultimately expose this data via OData services. So what shall I do for that? So for that reason, I can easily create an OData service, but what is also possible with OData service is a concept of association. What is the concept of association? So association concept says, for example, you have a business partner data, then you have the product data. So this is your master data. Okay, this is your master data. So let's say you have product data, and now you have sales order data. So you have your sales order items, and then you have your sales order headers. So how the relationship in our system is currently built is, this sales order header has a point to the business partner who purchased this product. Now, one sales order can have multiple sales order items based on how many products that particular customer has purchased from you. And this particular each sales order item can point to a particular product in the system. So this is the relationship between the entities today, how it is set up in our EPM demo model. Now, it's also possible to find the supplier of the given product in the business partner table. So that's a typical relationship what we have it today. Now, when you expose this entire entity relationship on an OData service, what you would probably want to do is you don't want to give data, all this data in one single entity. You want to create different entities in OData, and via the association, you want to pull the data for a corresponding entity. For example, first I expose a sales order entity. Inside the sales order, we have items. Inside each items, we have products, and at the level of sales order we have purchasers who purchase this product, so basically customer. So now when you look at the OData service, you first hit the sales order, you will get the list of all the sales orders. After you get the sales order, you can say I want now the customer who purchased the sales order. So that's basically an association. You can see it here, and that's only possible when you define the association in the CDS view. So in the last session when we did this using inner join, some of you had a doubt why you are doing writing association, why not inner join, right? The reason for that is later point of time our ultimate purpose is to expose this in a OData service. And if you want to do that, you have to make use of this new syntax, CDS syntax called association, so that data can be exposed over the OData service in an association manner. So that's the whole reason why we're using association syntax, which is provided by CDS. Okay, instead of direct inner join or left outer join in this case. So how can we realize, how can we experience this over here also? So what I will do is maybe I will include some more columns. So let me just do that. In the same sales order view, what I will do is I will also include, let's say, business partner ID, which is coming from the business partner table. So bp.node key or sales order dot buyer guide. I want to include who purchased this product as buyer key. And then I want to also expose, let's say, the sales order guide, okay, or this particular sales order node key. So I want to come here, sales order node key as sales order ID. Okay. Now, since you expose this over here, you need to also include in the group by clause accordingly, because you remember the basic rule of group by clause, which we learned in past chapters, that whenever there is a group by clause and aggregation is done, you have to include non-aggregated column as part of the group by, uh, as part of the group by clause, correct? So that's what we have done now. So now you see it's giving me some error. Key must be contiguous and start at the first position. So you see we have defined also a key property as company name. So that has to be the first property. So right now I will make all of them as a key in the code and save this. So I have saved this now. You can see the error is gone. Let me activate this. And now let's have a quick look at the data in the browser. So in data browser, I start F8 and data browser opens up, and now you see it's showing me the purchaser who purchased this product. Now, when it comes to the data, I can only see the company who has purchased, but here I am not able to derive the information about when somebody purchased this product, which country this purchase has happened, what was the currency of the purchaser, what was the name of the purchaser, what was the contact person, because this is a company whom I have sold some material, but I don't know the contact person over there, right? That details I don't have it here in my main view. Okay. Similarly, I don't have the information about my sales order items, okay, or my sales order. I can only see the gross over here. So this information, if you want to extract directly from here, you can follow association concept. So you have to right click, follow association, and you see right now it's saying no association is defined. Why? Because we have created an association, we created a join, but we did not expose it. Now to expose association, we need to change our syntax little bit in CDS view. So now let me show you the latest new syntax. So I will go back to our CDS view. So this is our association definition. Now, if you want to write a join, typically you can also just write association of one. This is also another easier way to define a join. Okay, this is also possible. So typically left outer join can be written like this. And now you can also keep the same one, the old one, doesn't matter. Now I'll say association this to SNW business partner as, and here you have to give association name. Now I am teaching the CDS view with respect to S4HANA concept. So what will happen, guys, is when you work with S4HANA product, you will find these syntaxes, you will find this naming convention, you will find these techniques. So typically in S4HANA system, when we define a view, we always name an association with starting underscore. Okay, that's how we name any association. So underscore, and this association is, let's say, business partner. So I say business partner association. And then this join condition, what you're writing, has to be between this association name and the exposed column. So you see that sales order table, we have a buyer key that is exposed outside. So I can use this buyer key. So I have to write dollar projection. What is projection in case of a table? So when we used to learn database in college days, what is a projection? So whenever you look at any database table, this is a very basic concept of database table. So when you look at a database table, which is it's a basically a matrix, two-dimensional matrix. Now what is a projection? Projection is the column. If you look at a database table data from the top side, that's called projection. So whatever you're seeing from the top on the column side, that's called projection view of a table. Okay. In engineering days, we have a subject called engineering graphics. What we do in engineering graphics, we look at an object from different angles, and then we draw it on our sheet, white sheet. How the object look from the top, from the left, from the right. It's just the perspective of object. Similarly here in database table, we look at a database table, which is a two-dimensional table. or two-dimensional object from different angles. So when you look at it from the top angle, you look at the columns. That's called projection in a database table. When you look at a table from the left to right side, what is this called? Anybody? Do you remember? In database, when you look at a table from the left side, from the top side, when you call it, what it is called projection. So basically columns are indicated using projection of a table. Okay, that's why we also have a concept in ABAP called projection view, where you expose very few columns out of multiple columns of a database table. Now, anyone, do you know what is this called? When you look at a table from the row perspective, from the left to right, what is this called? No one? It's called selection. Okay, so if you want to point to a column which you are exposing from a table, you can use name called projection. Projection ideally indicates it's column of a table. So now in this CDS model, we are exposing a column called buyer key. So I'm going to indicate that over here, buyer key. And you see the moment I put dot, it shows me all the columns which I'm exposing. That's a code completion of CDS view. So I will use here buyer key, and then I'm going to join this with my business partner entity dot node key. So we have node key over there, and this is how you complete the association. This is the new association syntax, basically representing a join only, guys, in association with. This will give you special power, which I will show you in a minute. Okay, similarly, let's do it for invoice header. So I will do it for invoice header table. So I'll say invoice. So basically this is my sales order and this is my invoice data. So from my sales order, I am exposing the sales order node key, which is sales order ID, nothing but. So it's a dollar projection, what you are exposing, dot the sales order ID. Now this time here, your projection, your alias name will come up. Okay, so alias name is sales order ID. Oops, I don't see it. Let's copy this and put it here. That's my sales order ID, which gets joined with my association invoice.so GUID. Is that clear, guys? Everyone, this syntax of association, we have come from an inner join to very basic association syntax, and now we are going to little advanced level association syntax using dollar projection syntax and giving a name to our association. Is that, hope that is clear? Since you have now given to a name to your association business partner, all the columns, all the fields which you are selecting from BP table has to start with this name, business partner. So you see here one, this one. Similarly, the invoice column which are included in the selection list should start with underscore invoice. So I will change that also here. So now there's no error, but still there is one error left for company name. So of course that's my new association name dot this. That's it. My view is now complete. This gives you a special power now in CDS view. You will see it in a minute. So I have saved it now, and let me activate this view. So last time, just now I showed you the data preview. You were seeing that on right clicking on a business partner GUID, I was not able to see any association, but now also you will not see association. I will tell you the reason for that. So let's quickly look at the data preview now. Execute it, and you see my buyer GUID, and I want to now follow this association and find out the details about this guy, Asia High Tech, from which country this customer comes from, what are all the details of this customer. If I want to get from the GUID, right click, follow association, still you see no association is defined. So this message is little confusing for you. You say no association defined means, oops, I don't have a relation. No, that's not the case. The reason for that is you have association, but you have not exposed it. Okay, I'm coming to the point, Charu. We have an association, but we have not exposed it. So we have to expose the association, guys. For that reason, you have to put comma and also put your association name over here. This concept is called exposed association. This concept is called exposed association. Now when you do a data preview, you will see a magic happening. Execute it, activate this code and execute, and you see again the same data though, but now watch carefully. I right click on a customer and I say follow association, and you see, guys, your exposed association is available with the business partner table. Double click on this and voila, it takes you to the details of the business partner directly. And when you expose this CDS view as an OData service, this becomes an OData association automatically, which will be very helpful for you when you're building a Fiori application. If you remember in Fiori, we have anybody, do you remember the concept name where you bind associated entity with your details section? What is that concept? What is that binding concept node in Fiori application? In my Fiori course, I've taught all of you this concept. What is the concept called when you bind associated entity to the data? Anybody in master detail view, I have showed you that concept. What is that concept called? When you select something in master section, it loads the data of associated entity in detail section automatically. Which type of binding it is called in Fiori? You all have forgot my Fiori classes. It's called element binding, guys. Okay, no problem. We will see some kind of that concept today when we will expose this guy as a Fiori application today. Let's move on. So that's the power of association, guys, now over here. Okay, that's the power of association. Similarly, if I want to expose the invoice data, I can also quickly do that nicely. So let me just define another exposed association for invoices underscore invoice. And this is how the naming convention works in S4HANA. If you see any S4HANA CDS views in future, when you work with S4HANA products, you will realize, guys, this is how they are writing their CDS views. Of course, you will see lot of different variety of annotations, which we will also some majority of them we will see it in our next class when I will teach you VDM, virtual data model, in S4 HANA. Let me activate this, and then let's quickly now look at the invoice data. But yeah, so that's cool. Let's execute it once again. And now I have my sales order ID. I can right click, follow association and invoices. And now you see this is the invoice data for a given sales order. So that's the invoice data, complete invoice data, what you have invoiced to the customer for corresponding to that sales order. Yeah, that's the beauty of association, guys. Great. So now let's see how can we expose this guy into an OData service. But before that, let me show you a couple of more annotations with regard to association. So when you're doing this association, you see here the buyer GUID of my current CDS view connects to the business partner association. So it's also a good practice that we define an annotation here called object model foreign key association. So that's a new annotation which we will use, and this is how annotation in S4 HANA is defined. So we typically put association name above the column which is connected to another table using association. And now we will just define our association name called underscore business partner. That's just an annotation, guys, to define the relationship. Similarly, for the uh, invoice, I will put this annotation object model foreign key association invoice. Now I want to also expose the amount and gross amount with currency. So I will also include the currency field from our sales order table. So sales order dot currency code, in what currency the sale was made. So currency code as currency code. And then I will just put this currency code in the group by clause as the primary condition for the group by. The fields which are not aggregated has to be part of the group by clause. This is what we have learned in our previous classes. Hope you remember in our ABAP chapter when I taught you the SQL queries. That time I showed you this, that the columns which are part of your projection, and if they are not aggregated, they have to be part of the group by clause. This is what we had discussed by far. Okay, great. So now there are more annotations, like now you see there are two amounts, and for these two amounts this is the currency code which is exposed. So we have to now typically write another association called semantic model, semantic association. And then this value what you see here, gross amount, represents basically a amount field, right? So semantic dot amount. So you will see semantic ticks dot amount field. Yes. And then inside this we will put the currency code, what represents the currency code for this particular amount. Like if you remember guys, in ABAP program, when you in SE11, when you create a table, you have to give a reference currency field for currency columns and reference unit field for quantity columns. Similarly, this is again a semantic notation to define that this is an amount field, the sales amount, and the currency code is represented using this. Now these annotations has significance when you create or expose the CDS view as a node data service. I will show you in a minute, when we will expose this to a node data, what these semantics would do to the system. So again, this one I will also define a semantics dot amount. Of course, you have a code completion available which you can make use of it. So you can say amount and then amount currency code, and then once again you can say currency code. Yes. So now the last column which you see here is actually representing a currency code. So just define a semantic for that as well. So semantics dot currency code equals to true. That's a semantic for defining or marking this particular column as a currency code, so that the consumer would know that this value is actually not a measure. It's basically defining a currency code. Save this, and just little bit of annotations we have done now. So now it's time to expose this as an OData service. Great. So let's go ahead and expose this guy as an OData service. So what are all the different techniques we have to expose a particular CDS view as an OData service? Now it depends on your NetWeaver version. So there are various techniques which was introduced by SAP with latest NetWeaver version. So if you're working on SAP NetWeaver 7.4, or if you're working on SAP NetWeaver 7.5, that's the beauty we have, because we have set it up the server ourselves in the CAL, and CAL gives me the latest NetWeaver 7.45 version. If you're taking server from on, you know, some different vendors, I don't know what version they will give you, but typically I see this, there's a lot of advantage of using 7.5. So that's why we used CAL. So OData expose, how to expose this OData service from a CDS view, expose CDS to OData. So we have not done this much of effort for just for fun. We have done this to really do some serious thing, really build ultimately our end user business application, which is a Fiori app using this OData, using the CDS and an OData service. So the only thing what a Fiori app can talk to your data is via OData. So you have to expose this CDS view as an OData service. Now exposing this differs based on your NetWeaver version. How can you check NetWeaver version? Pretty simple. Log into your system. Okay, let me just connect to our ABAP on HANA system, and then let me just log in and then show you. Go to systems, status, and now you can check the version of NetWeaver. So you see NetWeaver version 7.5. That's good. So we have latest and greatest things available, which I will also show you some amazing feature of CDS in NetWeaver 7.5, which are available, which are not there in 7.4. And majority of the trainers online, they are just fooling around. Yeah, they are just giving you basic CDS examples, and these CDS examples they have downloaded from internet. They are copy pasting this code and showing you the output, and that's how they're training, and that's how they're fooling students. So I'm very blunt in telling that, because I have myself experienced such bad experiences when I was learning ABAP on HANA. Some training I took, I paid a lot of money, but it was not that grateful, not that enjoyable moment for me. If I have to do copy paste, why should I spend my hard earned money behind a trainer? Okay, great. Move on. So now first technique which we have with NetWeaver 7.4 is the conventional technique, where you just have to go and create your service project and define your CDS view, or make use of your SE11 object which is created as your data source, and as well as the entity type structure for CDS. Let's go ahead and try this one first. So here you have to go with simple OData creation technique. Okay, so that's what we have to do it. So it's a conventional simple OData service creation technique. So let's do that. So I will come here to segw transaction, and create my first OData service as if I am on NetWeaver 7.4, guys. Okay, assume I am on 7.4. So of course there is a backward compatibility, it works with 7.5 as well. So I will say basic CDS expose, and then I will say 7.4 because this is example based on 7.4. Expose OData from CDS and saving into a package. So let me see if I can choose a package, demo star F4. I have created a package, so maybe I can show you creating a transport request also based on this package. Yes, I have a package zdemo BOPF. This was used for one of the business object processing framework demo. Okay, now it says cannot be assigned to a package. Okay, I cannot assign this to a package. Maybe I will use a local object and proceed without any transport request. Now, one interview question, guys. What is the maximum length of your CDS view name, this view name? Anybody? What is the maximum length number of characters supported for this? 16. Perfect answer. This was discussed in last class, and thank you guys. You remember this. Now, next question, next certification question. What is the maximum length for the entity name? Anybody? What is the maximum length for entity name? Incorrect answer. It is 26. Why it is 26? Because the length of your OData service project is also 26. Okay. That is the reason this is being set as 26 characters as the maximum length. Certification question. If they will ask about the entity name maximum length, answer should be 26. In certification, if they ask the DDIC view, which is created by CDS, maximum length should be 16 characters. Remember that. Let's move on. And now I'm just going to right click here, entity type, and I will, right click here and say import from data dictionary structure and use my SQL view name ZV Bupa sales. And let me just do that over here as a ABAP structure, and I say business, or I say my sales invoice, and then I'll also create an entity set here. Very simple. This we have also did it in our Fiori classes. When we learned our Fiori, we have also done this. So let me define all three as a key because they are also marked as a key over here in my CDS. Okay, and I say next, and then we just uh, sorry guys, I have to select all the attributes from here, first one, and next section is the key field. So let's mark them as the key field. I will not include mandate, the client field, to be part of my final output. Not required because you know the CDS view takes care of client handling automatically. But if at all you're coding your ABAP managed data procedure, then you have to handle the client yourself. Correct? Finish. We're done. Let's generate the runtime artifacts. This would end up generating a DPC extension class, and we just quickly go ahead and write code in our DPC extension class. Test objects cannot be created in foreign namespace. Okay, sorry guys, I have not kept my project name starting with Z or Y, so it's no more allowing me. We have to quickly create one more time again. So let me just delete this guy. That's the reason it was not allowing me also to put it in my Z package because I did not choose the proper naming convention. Okay, let me just quickly recreate it. Create again. Z basic CDS expose 74 basic CDS OData with 7.4, and then I can of course choose now my package Z demo BOPF. That's a test package I created in the system, and yes, it's allowing now. And let me just quickly map my DDIC source. Right click, include from data dictionary structure, put it here, and I say sales invoices, entity set, next, and choose all the fields except mandate, next, and then finally check mark the key fields which I want ultimately to be in the output and say finish. We're done. Let's generate runtime artifacts quickly for our OData service. And voila, you see now it's asking the transport request. So I create a new transport request and I say my OData services. Save this. Yeah, good. Click on OK. And see all these runtime artifacts will be created. Again, provide my same package name, zdemo business object processing framework. Save this and then click on OK. We are good. Let's quickly go to the DPC extension class and implement the select query for selecting the data from the CDS view. So pretty easy and straightforward technique. This we had used in our Fiori course as well to achieve the same results. So let's go to our DPC extension class. Well, it's giving me an, so let's copy this, go to SE24, and I will be writing the code over here for this. So we will go to our get entity set method and just simply select from our DDIC view and expose all the data as via OData service. So maybe I go to the form based editor and then just come down and redefine our get entity set method for our entity which we had created. Says invoice set get entity set. Go inside and now just fire very simple way, just show the signature once again, fire a select query, select the data from your DDIC view and expose it via OData service. Pretty simple, straightforward technique. So select, and of course you can do here a star because your CDS view already restrict the number of columns, guys. So don't worry, you can do a select star on CDS because you already restricted the number of columns. It's not gonna pull all the data, all the columns from your HANA DB. And as we had discussed in the previous chapter, HANA being a hybrid database with column store, it affects the performance when you select all columns. And CDS view already somehow kind of restricting this for you. And now what I'm going to do is just simply do a select star on my SE11 view. Select star from this into corresponding tables of ET entity set. And we're done. Dot and just do an activation for this and we are good. So there is a question here. Charu is saying, why can't we do odata dot expose equals to true? So can you do that in NetWeaver 7.4, Charu? If yes, go ahead and try that. If you have a NetWeaver 7.4 system, that's the main point. Okay, there are errors. Let's edit that. So please please allow me to come to the point. All your doubts will be clear. Why we are not doing something which we supposed to do. Okay, great. So let's see what's the problem. Okay, of course the problem is I forgot to include the table statement because it's selecting multiple records. Very simple query. So I just have to now activate and it will get definitely activated and we can just register this OData service now and get started consuming the data from our OData. Okay, so once again, just to repeat, this is the option which you use only with 7.4. If you are on NetWeaver 7.4, there is no other way you expose the OData service from your CDS view. But with 7.5, there are two additional techniques which you can use, which we will discuss in a minute. Okay, let's come back. And now it's time to register the OData service. So I will just copy the name and just go to our service maintenance transaction. So I'll go to /iwfnd main service, add a service and put the alias name as local. And then just put here this star and it will show you your service name over here. Well, it's not showing. There is, okay, I had put the class name before. That's incorrect. And now you see service name, get the service and just add the service to the final registration. So this would end up creating a SICF node for your OData service, which then can be used to respond to HTTP request as a simple OData service. So now we are just saying, okay, register my service, got registered successfully, and we can just come back and look at the response. So it's here. You see, this is our OData service. Go to SAP Gateway Client and test it directly over here in the Gateway Client. So when I run this, you see it's giving me response, and there's an entity set called sales invoice set. Let me call that guy sales case sensitive. So sales invoice set question mark dollar format equals to JSON. Press enter and let's see what happens. It's preparing the data, and all the data will be sent out finally by this entity set as an output. So I guess there is huge amount of data, so it's taking time because we did not also restricted on number of records. You see the response is pretty large, so it's unable to display me the data. So maybe I will restrict the number of records in our quick code in our class. So let me just go and restrict it to maybe 100 result set to 100 records or maybe 50 records. Let me quickly do that. So just come down, select star up to 50 rows. Of course, you will be implementing $top $skip functionality in your OData like explained in our Fiori classes. So that I'm not implementing here right now. So that's the reason we are just restricting it to 50 records, and you can see now the data is being exposed as 50 records as an OData service. Now next question which may come in your mind, can we see the response in the browser? Of course not. Let me show you guys why you cannot see the response in the browser here. So if I go to, this is only with respect to cal guys, I'm telling. So then your next question would come is, Anubhav, then how will I consume this in my Fiori app? For that reason, I will show you some amazing stuff today, how to do all that stuff. We will see it in a minute, but before that, we'll learn all three techniques to expose our OData in Gateway, which is built using CDS view. So let me just call browser. It will ask me to allow, and I say allow. It will launch my browser, but you would see the response won't come because there is a cal machine, and that's a Windows machine basically, and the system which you're using is an on-premise system. This A4H, it's an on-premise system, and this on-premise system is not exposed on the internet. Okay, it's not exposed on the cloud basically. So from the online, from the HTTP, you cannot get the response basically. So you have to implement a cloud connector in the middle to expose this on-premise system data via via cloud basically. So that's what we will be doing in our subsequent discussion. So let's wait for that. So you'll see right now it's just trying to connect, and after some time it will just say no response, could not find the required URL. But one interesting thing I would like to point here, that it's calling some URL vh something, vih something. What is that URL? That URL is called virtual host. Okay, I will explain you the concept of the virtual host. So you see this is what it is trying to call with some port number, but it is unable to get the response. Okay, this is called virtual host. Okay, what is the concept of virtual host? How does it work? We will see it in today's class. So park your question right now, but right now you cannot see the response in the browser. Okay, which means you also will not be able to consume this service at this point of time in your Fiori app, but later point of time I will show you how to do that. But let's park it right now. Moving on to the next discussion. So we saw how to create OData service using 7.4, but what if you are on 7.5? Then you are a winner. You will do all this what you've done pretty nicely, easily, without putting much of effort. Option number one you have is exposed entity option. This option is used when you want to create one service over multiple CDS views. Okay, if you want to create one single service and you have 10 different CDS views or n number of CDS views, and you want to create single service for them, then you use this option, expose entity option. Option number two, which is even more easier, which is called special annotation option, called OData expose equals to true. This is an annotation you will put in your audit CDS view. It will automatically create an auditor service for you automatically. But just remember one point to note, you need to register the service manually. This option will work in case you want one service per CDS view. Okay, so in interview, if interviewer asks, I have 3 CDS views and I want to create one auditor service with 3 CDS views, which option you will choose? Anyone. Which option you will choose in interview if somebody is asking that I have 3 CDS views, I want single auditor service for them. Option number 1 you will go with. In NetWeaver 7.5, of course you can use 7.4 wala technique also, but when you have something easy, something better, why to use the old option? And you will also see a real advantage of using the first option also in a minute. I will show you that. Okay, in fact the latest 7.5 options. Okay, now this option, the disadvantage is you have to manage everything. Everything means your paging concept, dollar top, dollar skip, your association concept, everything you have to manage on your own. But with NetWeaver 7.5, this gets created automatically. You will see an advantage of that, and that's the main reason why we coded our CDS view with these associations. Okay, so this association gets exposed via OData. You will really see a true advantage of these options. Okay, let's go with option number 1 first. So what I'll do is I'll come back to our SEGW transaction, create a new OData service project, and I say option 1 with CDS NW75, NetWeaver 7.5, option number 1, expose CDS via entity definition. Okay, so click on save and it will ask me a transport request. Oops, I have not used Z or Y before the name, so that I can store it in my local package. And yeah, now it's good. So you can now see an option, since we are already on NetWeaver 7.5, thanks to Cal, you can right click here on data model and you see reference modeled data source reference. Okay, you see this option, click on this and now you can choose core data service directly. Put your service entity name. Remember guys, put your service entity name, not the DD view name. So let's come here and this is my entity name. I copy this, put it over here, say next, and you see it's also showing you the association, guys. Beautiful, that's what we wanted. It's also showing you the association for that, and click on finish. We are done. You don't have to now go and write any coding also. Okay, nothing is required, no coding. Amazing option. Now similarly you can also include more CDS views here, reference model CDS views, and you can include more CDS views as part of it. It's up to you. Multiple CDS views can be included. Now let's generate and we are done. Just register the OData service quickly and then we will be able to consume this OData service. Remember, you have chosen a package. I have seen developers with a lot of experience doing this mistake. They will create the service in one package and later point of time, and in one transport, later point of time they will choose a different transport while generating the runtime artifacts. And then due to this transport, a half object got logged in one transport and another half in another transport. You release one of the transport and then it will blast in the quality, and then you will say, oh my god, what happening? Okay, don't do such mistakes. Make sure that you create one transport and logically group your objects properly in that single transport. Very important, which you have to follow. Now you can see this option of import data sources, so you can import more CDS views over here. Okay, so if you have more than one CDS views, choose this import data option and put all your CDS views inside this. Maybe I will just quickly see, we have created so many of them indeed yesterday, so maybe I'll use this one. Bupa sales we already using. I will use this guy, cust sales. Yeah, this should be good. So let me just use this. But you see guys, this is with parameters. So currently the limitation is CDS views with parameters cannot be exposed via OData. You have to create a consumption view on top of it. So this CDS view, you have to create another consumption view basically on top of this CDS view and use that in your OData service. Very important interview question. If you have a CDS view with import parameter, can you expose that in OData? No, you have to create a consumption view on top of this import parameter CDS views, pass the import parameter values, and then use that consumption view in your OData service. Very important interview question, guys. Okay, let's go ahead. Maybe I will use the another one. Let me see if I can find some useful one. This one is also looking good. So let's use this one and I will expose it over here. Click on OK. Okay, it doesn't have a key field. Of course, you also have to include the views which has at least some key fields into it. So let me define all of these as a key, or maybe the company name as a key field because I'm already doing a gross. So let me just activate this view once again after defining a key property. That's another interesting observation we have, that you have to have some key properties in your CDS views defined. Okay, does not contain key, so it did not refresh basically, guys. So that's why it's not allowing me. Maybe I will just go back out of the SEGW and come back to SEGW and then try one more time. So I just come back and data references, go for change mode. Go for change mode. Yeah, we are in edit mode now, and let's try to include that another CDS view also over here. Yes, you see now it got included very well, and we can just regenerate our project, and that's it. No coding required anymore. You can simply go ahead and register your OData now in your activation. So let's add this service, and I will put my service name underscore SRV, of course, and search for the service. Found one, add it, and we are ready. What an amazing approach. Thanks to NetWeaver 7.5. You remember, I'm locking all my artifacts in a single logical transport. Remember, this is one common mistakes which developer does, and then it would lead to quality issues in quality system once you release the transport. We are good. Let's come back and test this CDS directly with gateway client. Remember, once again, I can't test it in the browser because I have my cloud connector is not yet configured. Okay, let's test this now in my gateway client. So this is the one we have, and let's go back, execute it, and you can see it sends me the response. Both the entity sets are exposed, both the CDS views their corresponding entity sets. And now let me show you using this first entity set, ZCO Bupa sales. So I come here, ZCO Bupa sales. Now the beauty is you also don't have to don't need to handle all the top, skip, and all the stuff. That's all automatically implemented with your entity code the moment you reference your CDS view. Okay, so you see right now I did not give top, skip, so it's just trying to query all the data. So this would definitely fail. It will say data set is too large, so that's why it would fail. But maybe I will next time try with a question mark dollar top equals to 5. I just want top 5 records from this entity set. Execute, and you see in just a few milliseconds my data is being returned out because it's just giving me 5 records. Hope you all remember our OData discussion in Fiori classes, how to work with OData service with paging concept. Okay, great. So that's my OData service with all the data exposed via entity option. Now the third and last option, which is when one-to-one relationship between service and CDS view. For that, it's pretty straightforward. Just go and add an annotation and activate your service. So go back to ABAP on Eclipse and go back to our CDS view. So close all of the unwanted ones and just add an annotation at the view level. Remember, it's a view level annotation. So add the rate of OData publish equals to true. That's the annotation. Okay, OData publish equals to true, and just activate your CDS. That's it. Now what happens behind the scenes, system would automatically create a OData service for you. Just considering this CDS view, the OData service name will be the entity name underscore CDS. Okay, entity name underscore CDS. So if you just hover here, you see view has generated object service. This has been created. You see this is entity name underscore CDS, and activation of this should be now done manually. Remember this option, these two options only available with 7.5 NetWeaver. If you are on NetWeaver 7.4, it will not work. So be little careful when you're doing that. So let's copy our service name, and we're ready to register this once again on our service registration transaction. Come back here, get the service. Here we go. Add selected service, local object. No, I want it in a productive package with the transport request logged, and we are just going to be okay with this service. So I'm going to test this service, and this time I'll also show you the power of association, guys. So let's try this and let's see the power of association as well. So I come here, and you see our auditor service would have got created with the view name underscore CDS. So it was ZCO Bupa Sales CDS. That's the auditor service. You see it created. And now let me tell you one interesting thing. One of you were asking last session one question, the use of this annotation end user label. Okay, see this label what we have given. Okay, watch this carefully. Let me maximize this. Dock this window on the left and dock my window of SAP GUI on the right. Do you see the use of this annotation? Anybody? Do you see the use of this annotation where it is being used? Anyone? Do you see the use of this end user text annotation? Yes, absolutely. You see, it has become your OData service description automatically. That's how annotation helps you guys in CDS views. So by far, I am not truly shown you lot of usage of annotations in real time. This is the second one. So one we saw with this, with publish, we saw it created. Another we saw with this time here with end user text, end user label. It automatically becomes description of your OData service. At same time, there are in S4HANA standard Fiori apps which SAP delivered. There is a Fiori app called Query Analytical Query Browser. Fiori app which SAP delivers as part of S4HANA. When you consume the CDS view in that query browser, you will also see the description what we have given here in the query browser. Unfortunately, we will not see that in this course. Maybe I will soon start a course dedicated to SAP S4. There we will discuss more depth into S4 concepts and methodology to implement S4. That time we'll see this particular query browser option. But of course, there are YouTube videos, good YouTube videos explaining that. You can go ahead and check them out. Maybe I will give a reference for them in our training blog as well. Great. So that's the power of annotations. You see, CDS view now defines semantically rich data model with annotations and lot of metadata. Hope this now makes it little clear for you guys what exactly CDS view is. And that's what your SC11 data dictionary views cannot do. Okay. Your data dictionary views cannot do this. Okay. That's the power of CDS views. Okay, great. Now let's run this guy, and we're going to see some results, nice results in the output. So I select this and once again run it on gateway client, and then we will quickly see the result over here. Execute, and you see all the three database tables which you had put, they have been exposed over here. Yeah, all the two database table, business partner and invoice header, basically uh, your two joins, basically whatever you've done, your association. And then this is the main entity, ZCO Bupa Sales, which is your CDS view name. We will be using this for querying this. So let's query this and look at the data in JSON format, and I'm going to just read only top 5 records. So $top equals to 5, and ZCO Bupa Sales is my entity set name. CO Bupa Sales, and I'm just executing this, and you would see all the data being fetched. And now you see, guys, the power of association. So you see here it's showing 2 invoice and 2 business partner. 2 associations are displayed here in your raw data. So if I want for this particular sales order, okay, this particular record, I want to look at what is the data of business partner for this particular record, it's pretty easy for me. Okay, it's very very easy for me. So you see, this is your association name. Based on your key, it has automatically created a key, and I can now copy this URL to just get the business partner data for this particular record. Okay, so I will just copy the URL. So let me just copy the URL properly. So I will just copy this URL and directly put it in our gateway client to test for this particular record, which was a sales for Bionic Research Lab. What is the data for this Bionic Research Lab business partner? Execute this, and you see association comes into realization, and you see this is the currency in which this Bionic Research Lab is operating. This is the BP role, he's a customer. This is the business partner ID. This is the currency in which they are operating. This is the email ID of the contact person of that business partner. So that's the power of association, guys, when you define in the CDS. Hope this makes sense now. All the things are now you are able to visualize and connect them pretty well with the help of this association concept. What does it mean for you? Okay, so we saw three annotations, very very powerful annotations in CDS views, and also we saw the power of association as far as the CDS view is concerned. They expose the data, exposed association exposes. So this will also safeguard you to not pull a lot of data on your front end, because this will be later on consumed by a Fiori app, and you don't want to pull all the data from the SAP system to Fiori app. You want to only pull when it is requested. So initially you want to just pull, let's say, 20 records, and then for each record there is a invoice data, there is a business partner data. You don't want to pull that. When user click on a certain record, single record, that time you want to pull the business partner data, and that can be done easily with the association now, because we have a definite association at the entity level which gets transformed into an OData association automatically. And these things your typical SE11 views cannot do it. Only CDS can do it. And you will see in the next unit, when I will teach you virtual data model VDM with CDS, you will realize more power of that. Okay, now it's time to consume this OData service in our Fiori app. How can we do that? Okay, so for that I will now show you cloud connector configuration in our cal server, and how to also consume this in our Fiori app using a web IDE application. So let's create a Fiori application on top of this OData service. So let's do that. So before we do, we have to remember a couple of steps. So I will also note down these steps over here. So first step is you need to have a web IDE account, or you have to have a HANA Cloud Platform account, trial account. So this is now known as SCP. HANA Cloud Platform was the old name, and the new name is SAP Cloud Platform. So you have to have a HCP trial account. So let me go to hcp.sap.com. And I had already by the time registered on hcp.sap.com, remember guys. So I will just connect to my HCP account. At the same time, we also have to install HANA Cloud Connector in our cal server. So this is I connected to our cal server using remote desktop connection, and I had already downloaded HANA Cloud Connector in our cal. So to download HANA Cloud Connector in the cal, you go to tools.hana.ondemand.com. So unfortunately, I'm not showing you the real installation here, but just want to give you the link. You guys can try this in your cal server. You will be able to achieve this. So go to tools.hana.ondemand.com /hashtag cloud. So go to this section. So that's step number 2 in your cal server. Go to this, okay, in your cal server, and download HANA Cloud Connector MSI file, because it's a Windows server, so MSI will work here. So download HANA Cloud Connector 2.x, okay, MSI file. Okay, this is just an installer. Now sometimes you will find it difficult running this MSI file. It will give you an error. That error comes because of Visual C++ 2013 distributable, and these distributable are available on internet. I will give you also the link over here. So go to here and just download your You can see the cloud connector over here. And for Windows portable, you should download, Windows, this one, MSI file you got to download. I had already downloaded it in my computer, in my cal server, and executed an installation for this. Okay, this I already installed it. Okay, while installation, I was getting an error for Visual C++ distribution. Okay, this error will come. So you will see here the prerequisite link. So go to that prerequisite link, and actually I already have that link with me. Let me just quickly take that. So here is the link for Visual C++ distributable. Let me put it in our notepad. I will share this notepad with all of you in our training block, so you guys can do that. So in cal server, before running the installation of HANA Cloud Connector, please download the Visual C++ distributable, which includes some prerequisite libraries for a HANA Cloud Connector, and install it after download. Okay, you have to download based on your operating system. So all the cal servers are on 64-bit operating system, so download the 64-bit one, and then install HANA Cloud Connector. Once you are done with installation of HANA Cloud Connector, you will see icon on desktop to start HANA Cloud Connector. Just click on that. Okay, click on those icons. So just start your HCC. So I just come back and show you guys how to do that. So let's close this, and you see this icon got created, start cloud connector. I double click on the icon, and that's it. It starts the HANA Cloud Connector. How can you now check whether HCC has started or not? So just go to your browser and type your HTTP localhost, and the port number is always 84434 for HANA Cloud Connector. Press enter. This is the port for its HANA Cloud Connector. Remember, you have to type HTTPS secure HANA HTTPS protocol you have to use. Press enter, and you will see a login screen for HANA Cloud Connector. Now, one question must be tickling in your mind: why, Anubhav, we need HANA Cloud Connector? So remember, guys, it's very simple to understand. You are sitting here on the one side. Okay, this is you, and then there is this cloud network. Okay, so you will be connecting to your web IDE, and you will be building in cloud a Fiori application. So this is your SAP cloud platform, which is on internet. And then on the other side, you have your SAP server, SAP application server NetWeaver 7.5, which is an on-premise system. And this on-premise system is connected to your SAP HANA database. Okay, so this is connected to your SAP HANA DB, and here you have created your CDS view basically in this SAP NetWeaver system. So here you created your CDS, and when you activate the CDS, it generated a database view in SAP HANA database. Basically, CDS is doing code push down, so database view gets created. All the calculation is done now in database. Only the final result set is transferred to the application layer from this database. Now this here you also created an OData service which will be consumed by your Fiori app, but this is your on-premise network. So there is this system boundary now here. There is this on-premise network, and there is this cloud network on the other side. So this is your on-premise world below, and on above you have your cloud. So how will you communicate securely between cloud or internet network basically and your on-premise network? So for that reason, you need a HANA Cloud Connector in the middle, HCC, HANA Cloud Connector. Okay, so if sometimes you see S4 HANA implementations in your company. So if your company has purchased SAP S4 HANA Cloud Edition, then already this whole thing what you see below is already on internet. It's already in the cloud. So that's a difference between SAP S4 on-premise and SAP S4 cloud. So this whole infrastructure is there in the cloud on internet. These are called internet facing systems. Okay, so If you are working on S4 on premise, then you need a cloud connector to expose your OData on HCP. Okay, fine. So now we will set up this HANA Cloud Connector settings, required settings, to do a handshake between this internet HCP account and this local on-premise account. So there has to be a handshake between these two, and that handshake is done via Cloud Connector. So I will now show you how to do this handshake. Guys, please don't stop me right now for your doubts. I will come to your doubts in a minute. Maybe I will miss out some topic if I quickly jump to your doubts. And hopefully some of your doubts will anyways get clarified once I will complete this topic. Okay. So please park your question. I will take it up. Now come here. Connecting to HANA Cloud Connector, you need credential. The first installation, your credential will be administrator user and password will be manage. Okay. Your first installation of HCC, start your HCC and access via HTTPS localhost 8443 is the port number, and username password will be administrator manage. First time when you log in, it will ask you to change the user password. Okay, change your password, remember it, don't forget it, otherwise you have to do a lot of effort to again crack it. Okay, so I had already done that activity. I'll log in. Now you need to expose your on-premise server details to the cloud, to the internet. Okay, how that can be done? So right now I have already done some account and some things. Let me delete them, all the settings, whatever I have done. Let me delete all those settings whichever I have done, and I will show you doing things from scratch from the beginning. So I'm just deleting all the things. So it's so simple that you have to do a handshake. Okay, so let me just also delete this. Let me just disconnect everything. Okay, so now what you need to do is, here in the cloud connector you need to tell what is your account. Okay, which account you want to connect. Okay, unfortunately I can't delete this guy. Let me see if I can also delete this guy, so that you will not see this p something trial, which I don't want. Also I want to even delete. I want it to be like a fresh installation so that you guys can follow this from the scratch. Okay, so let me just see if I can delete this. There has to be one option to delete this also. Let me just quickly check. Or I can just create another one. So now what we will do is, we will just tell the system, okay, yes, I have an option to delete. So when you install your cloud connector for first time, guys, this is the kind of screen you will get. You will not see anything. You will see define sub account, all these things you will see like this. Now this is your new installation kind of stuff. So in order to connect, you have to first define a sub account. So click on sub account, select here your region. So now remember, in your company, if they have purchased a proper subscription of HANA Cloud Platform, you will get these accounts. So based on your company location, they have different servers in different regions like US, Canada, Japan, Japan, Asia Pacific, Japan, Europe. They have different regions where their different cloud accounts are hosted. So based on your company will tell you what is the cloud account, which region it is hosted. But since we are using here a HANA trial account, we will choose SAP HANA trial on demand.com. And I will also show you here. I will just log into my HANA Cloud Platform account. So just go to hcp.sap.com and register there, and you will see your HANA Cloud trial account here got created. So let me just go to my trial account, and I will go to Neo trial, okay, which is free without any licensing fee, without any additional license, and no cost, and infrastructure is hosted by SAP. So I will go with Neo trial, and you will see this is my trial account. Okay, so the account name is this is my account name. Okay, this is my account name. So I copy my account name, and remember, you see here on the URL, it's hanatrialondemand.com. So with this URL, you will know which region your account is hosted. If your account is in US region, it will be US1 dot something something will be there. If it is in Europe region, it will be EU something something will be there. Based on that, you can use it. So let's come here and I will put here my account name. So it's in the HANA trial. This is my account name, and I can use display name, let's say Anubhav, and then I can use sub account user. So I have to now put my username, which is used to connect to my HCP account. So you will go to this user and you see this is my user ID in HCP. So I will copy this user ID, come here and put that user ID over here. And now I will put my HCP password. Okay, great. Nothing else. Click on save. Sub account will be added. So the moment you click on save, come back to HCP and search for cloud connectors. Okay, you see right now there is no cloud connector available in your HCP account. Okay, there is nothing connected, it's empty. And you see, the moment it got connected, now it's showing connected. So there is a handshake now between your on-premise system and your HCP cloud account. Congratulations. Through the cloud connector, there is a handshake now between intranet and intranet on-premise system got connected to internet-based HCP system. This is also a kind of cloud integration which many companies are requesting these days. Many companies are asking consultants doing this kind of job. So congratulations, you have learned it today. How to use HCP, connect your on-premise system to the cloud system. Okay, and similar way you have a connection between S4HANA system to HCP, or S4HANA on-premise system you will connect to HCP account. Okay, that's how you guys will do it. Okay, now comes the concept of virtual host. What is virtual host? So you saw here that we have one cal account. This is our one cal account. Now it is possible that your company may have multiple instances like this, your quality system, your development system, your production system. So it is possible that you have variety of accounts, variety of uh, accounts, you have variety of systems, you have S4HANA systems, you have hybrid system. There may be multiple different systems which you may have in your company. Now you want to expose them. Similarly, you want to expose them in the cloud, right? So every system has a different IP address. Okay, every system has different IP address. So this has one IP address, this is another IP address, but now you want to expose it on the cloud. Now tomorrow, let's say there is a restart of your server. Like in our case, we are shutting down our cal server. When we are restarting, its IP address is changing, correct? So now let's say this is our cal server, and right now my IP address is something. So let me just go to cal and show you what is my IP address right now. So, oh, did I close it? Let me just open the cal and show you our IP address. So our IP address is, let's say today something. Okay, so our IP address is, let's say 10.22.10.20.156. That's our IP address. Today I will switch off the system. Tomorrow, once again I open the system, my IP address changes. Okay, it becomes 10.56.92.658. Again I shut down, again I open, or there is something happened, system got shut down and restarted, or let's say maintenance restart happened, IP address changed. Now this system is connected to multiple cloud providers. So you also similarly can have multiple HCPs, right? Multiple HCP accounts, and this system was connected to all of them, and all of them were using this IP address. Now since the system got restarted, okay, system got restarted, IP address changed. How many places you have to now change the IP address? Looking at this picture, when your system restarts in HCP, how many places in HCP you have to change your IP address? Anybody? How many places you have to now change your IP address if there is a system restart? You're, let's say, connected to 3 different accounts. How many places you have to change your IP address? Anybody? You're connected to 3 HCP account initially. When your system restart happened, your IP address change, you have to change at 3 different places, correct? Now imagine a big server, big company using 20, 25 different HCP account, and below also you have 2025 on-premise system. It becomes so complex to maintain IP addresses, correct? So what we do is in HANA Cloud Connector, we maintain a mapping between a virtual host, which we will expose to HCP. To HCP, we will say this is my system. Okay. To HCP, we will say this is my system. I request you to please mute your line. Whomsoever has joined the session now, please mute your line. Thank you. Okay, so we will maintain a virtual host to the outsider, and we will do a mapping of internal IP address in HCP here. So all the system, HCP system will always know it as a virtual host, but internally Cloud Connector knows which system you need to connect to. That becomes quite interesting approach and quite flexible approach. Tomorrow you want to disconnect this system and join it with another, let's say, production system with same virtual host. You don't need to do anything. You can simply go and change your HANA Cloud Connector settings, right? So this connection, this handshake now we will do between virtual host and IP address. Let's do that to tell now my cal IP address for my SAP system, and create a virtual host which will be consumed by HCP to call my on-premise system. Okay, and this virtual host we will keep it this whatever was given here. This is the virtual host, we will keep it. So this virtual host will be mapped to the IP address of your cal server. Let's go to the cal and see what's the IP address of our current instance which is running in. So let me just quickly check. So I will come back and let me go to cloud to on-premise connection, add a new connection, and it's an ABAP system I want to connect. Say next. HTTP is the protocol. Next, internal host. This should be the host of your on-premise system, guys. Your on-premise IP address that you will get it from your cal. So go to cal. And what is cal? All this is already covered in previous chapters. Put your Linux external IP address, this one here, and then put your host name. So sorry, host port number. Port number depends here. You see HTTP port number for HTTP communication is 50,000. So use that. Next, and now put your virtual host. See here, virtual host. So let's put our virtual host as this, so that we can talk to this from HCP with this as a virtual host. And port number same 50,000. Next, principal type, no need. Next. Now principal type is basically used for authentication purpose. Different companies have different ID providers. Based on that, we will choose this option based on time to time. Next, description, ABAP on HANA. Next, same way you will connect S4HANA system to the cloud, guys. Same way, there is no change. Check the internal host, finish, you're done, and it's checking and it's reachable. You see your cloud connector is saying on one side I am able to successfully connect to on-premise system. So first we did a handshake between cloud and on-premise networks, and now we have done a handshake with the cloud, sorry, with the on-premise system, between your cloud connector and on-premise system. Now you're doing okay, between your cloud connector and on-premise system now you're doing. So this is done. Let's add a resource, what is allowed to be accessed. So we will put slash everything I can access from cloud system to on-premise, path and all subpaths. Click on save. We are done with cloud connector configuration. Our cloud connector is also now visible in our HCP account. So one side handshake is done. Now we should be able to consume the OData service on internet. It's public. Your on-premise data is public now. Now you will say security, Anubhav, that you can restrict using this URL path. You can say slash SAP slash OPU slash OData to only expose OData services. Okay, so based on this URL path, you can restrict, you can secure your access. Okay, of course there are authentication which will also comes into picture, like IDP, custom identity provider and stuff like that, through which you can restrict the security. You can make sure the security requirements are met. Now let's come back, and we have to now create a destination to our on-premise system. So you'll see by default in your HCP account, there is a destination called web IDE DI already exists. Just clone this. So there is an option called clone, create a new configuration, clone it. And now I will say name ABAP, or I will just name it as A4H as my ABAP system, A4H underscore new, and HTTP protocol description, my ABAP on HANA system, or you can also put S4 HANA system. It could be your S4 HANA system, doesn't matter. Now put your virtual host here through which your HCP knows your on-premise system. So I'll get my virtual host URL from here. Make sure that it has a prefix as HTTP. So that didn't come. So HTTP colon slash slash and my virtual host colon port number 50,000 slash. It should be proxy type should be on-premise. You're connecting to on-premise system. And then here you can choose no authentication. The moment user try to connect your OP system, on-premise system, it will pop up user a credential, username, password. Now you will also choose here web IDE enabled as true, web IDE system as your system ID of S4 or your ABAP on HANA system. A4H is our system ID. Web IDE usage, what is the purpose you want to use web IDE? So the purpose you can define here. Let me just take this. Sorry, let me just open that. And these are all the purpose which we can use. So you remember guys the different purpose, what is the reason? So OData underscore gen is one purpose. Yeah, so these are different purpose for why we use why we want to create, why we are creating a destination, so that we can connect to our OP system and consume its OData. So OData underscore gen is one purpose, then ABAP is one purpose. So there are different purpose, and that purpose maybe I will copy from my existing destination here. I have one created here, and these are all the different purpose I'm taking. So let me come and add those purpose over here. I will give you guys also this setting, all these setting in a notepad file. So let me just change my destination. Okay, let me cancel the old one and now change this one, and let's put the purpose over here. And finally also add your client, SAP system client. So SAP hyphen client is 001. Save your configuration, destination configuration. You see it's saved, and let's test it. A4H new, I will just do a test connection, and wow, great, successful. Hope you remember our previous course web IDE and launchpad. I have showed you in that course how to create a local destination file to connect to your own premise system with web IDE personal edition. Here now you're doing this connection in HCP account so that your HCP web IDE can connect to your own premise system to consume the OData service. Let's go ahead and shoot up now. We are ready to create our first Fiori app connecting to your on-premise system, present on the intranet via the cloud system, which is on HANA Cloud Platform. So let's go to the services, SAP Web IDE service, and create our first Fiori app on top of CDS views. So let's come down and search for a service called SAP Web IDE, and just say go to service. It will launch the Web IDE in SAP Cloud Platform, and we can now create our first Fiori app consuming that OData service built on top of CDS views. Okay, there's a lot to learn. Of course, in next class I will show you how to build S4 HANA specific CDS views. We also have concept for integrated data access using ALV, which is also known as smart ALV with ABAP on HANA, fuzzy search. These are all some topics which are pending. So let's continue. We will create now a project from template in our web ID. So this is again Fiori knowledge. For this, please subscribe my Fiori course. Those who don't know what am I doing here. All Fiori learnings, UI5 learnings, binding modes, binding types, binding concept, HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, DOM, component JS, router, route match handler, manifest JSON, binding modes, binding types, custom controls, different variety of views, XML views, JavaScript views, fragments, formatters, all that is covered in my Fiori course. Hope you all remember that, whomsoever has joined my course. So that's all knowledge you need to gain it when you learn Fiori. Subscribe my Fiori course for that. Now select master detail app and choose a project name, my first app on CDS. Next, and you will see something amazing happening now. Here in the drop down you see two entries. This is the one which we just added, my ABAP on HANA S4HANA system. Select it, and you see it's asking now me the credentials for my ABAP system. Developer is my user, and of course my password I will type in here. And wow, it has loaded all the OData service from my on-premise system into the cloud. Amazing, guys. Let's put here our OData service name. It's completely available in the cloud now. You can access it from anywhere in the world. I will copy this. I can come back here, put here my service. That's my service. Click on next, and we're ready to create our first Fiori app with that. Click on next. Let's put the title of my app, my sales per customer. Namespace is my sample dot demo, and then description, my sales per customer on CDS. Object collection, I will choose my CDS entity name, and I will choose company name in the master section, and I will also put the total sales amount this customer has given me, and of course total maybe sales amount here. Object title, again company name, and ID as my buyer ID, and then unit of measure, of course currency code, and then we can just go with association. So you see now business partner data, I have an association, so I want to show business partner data on the right side in the details section. So business partner email address I want to show with association, and also I want to show the business partner uh, web address, and we can say finish. We're good. Let's finish it. And now let's see the magic on the UI. Your Fiori app is built without writing single line of code, all done with the CDS view. Congratulations, all from scratch, from an on-premise system into the cloud. Let's execute this. We're ready. Shoot it up. Hope you all understand what is component.js, manifest.json, mock server, view.xml, test framework, integration test, models, formatter.js, groupers, model.js, JavaScript files, scaffolding template, metadata, mock server, I18N, resource model, controller coding, all that what is covered in my Fiori course, already taught to all of you in my Fiori course. And let's see the response. And this is Fiori 2.0 Bleeze theme. You see what an amazing stuff. And it's asking me the password once again. So I will pass developer, and my password, of course my on-premise system. It goes, authenticates, and pulls me all the data. What an amazing stuff. All my real-time data is being populated, and from here on all your Fiori knowledge comes into live. You can apply all your Fiori knowledge, guys, to get started. Keep building your Fiori app end to end. This is completely possible now from here on for you. Hope you like the example of how to build Fiori apps on top of CDS views and OData service, and all that is connected live into the cloud using HANA Cloud Connector. Any questions? Now time for shoot up your questions. I was parking all of you for all your questions. Feel free to ask your questions one by one. Let me look at some questions which are posted. Is it possible to consume this OData from other third-party systems to replace the existing interfaces like proxy, file transfer? That's what we did. We consumed the OData service over internet, over HCP, which is on internet, using HANA Cloud Connector. In fact, now you can consume it from wherever you want. What you need to just use is this Fiori URL. Okay, this is your web IDE URL, and put your destination name, which was A4H underscore new. Put slash, press enter just to test this connection is working fine. Oops, it's not. Maybe I will just quickly try this. Press F12 on the console just to open the console in the browser. Go to network calls, refresh once again to see what exactly, which metadata, how it is accessing the Fiori OData metadata, and that URL we will be using to connect to our OData. Let's try that out. So we'll see here. Okay, I got my URL. So you see this is the OData service, it's calling, and I can now also run and show you in my local system this OData. So press enter, and that's your OData. So earlier I was not able to access this OData in my local system, and now you can see via the web IDE dispatcher I'm able to redirect this call via web IDE to the cloud, to the destination, to the HANA Cloud Connector, to the on-premise proxy, and then finally to my SAP NetWeaver system. Yeah. So I'm not sure whether you all will be able to access because it's in the cloud. I will put this URL. If you have your HCP account ready and it's been proper, then you will be also able to access this OData service from your computer wherever you are in the world because it is in the cloud. I had put it in the chat box for you. How to display larger amount of data while displaying the OData if we replace the interfaces? I did not get this question actually. I did not get this question, Nag. What do you mean by larger amount of data? Actually, in next class, I will show you building a complex one. I'm not sure how many of you will be able to understand that. We will build a pretty complex view using virtual data model on S4HANA, and we will expose this in a analytical list page application, ALP application. Okay, I will show you that kind of application in next class. Hopefully that time it will also answer your question about complex type of data. You will see that analytical list page applications are very powerful applications used to display transactional and analytical data together under one single Fiori app without writing single line of code. All is built using OData annotations. Just let me show you a quick sample of that over here if possible. I'll go to my ABAP on HANA, and this is what my uh, analytical view is. You see here, these are all the annotations related to UI which we will use in analytical list page. And you can see here there are a lot of different annotations which we are using here. This is just to build a chart basically in an analytical list page. You see there are a lot of different analytical annotations over here. This is all built using SAP S4 virtual data model concept, VDM. Okay, that's what we will be building in our next class, and I will expose this on as an OData, and then we will be using this in an analytical list page application. You will be proud of doing that. Nobody will show you these concepts, guys. Nobody. It's an open challenge. Nobody even can touch these concepts because they are very unique concepts, and you need to put lot of effort learning them, and you need to also be working real time in learning these concepts. Majority of the trainers, what they just do is copy paste. You can also do that. You can also become a trainer online quite easily. Download ready-made sample of Android, Python, any coding, any course, machine learning. You can become a trainer of machine learning also. Go to internet, download ready-made samples, uh, start teaching, launch your course, launch your website, become a trainer. It's very easy to become a trainer like that. Copy paste of code. Just you need to know where to copy, how to paste, show the output. Done. Explain a little bit of it to students, make them fool. Easily you make lot of fame. Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next interesting concept, which is called CDS table function, which is a very amazing concept in CDS. This concept was is only possible with SAP NetWeaver 7.5. So what is CDS table function? Okay, a CDS table function is nothing but calling an ABAP managed data procedure, which we had already learned in the past unit, AMDP, using CDS view. Okay, so using the CDS concept, using the CDS interface concept, and underlying it will call an AMDP. Now you will say, Anubhav, what is the power of it? I can directly create an AMDP. I can use that AMDP and call that AMDP anyways already as a class method. Why you doing this? The reason is other way around. This is required in case there is some functionality which CDS cannot achieve. Okay. Example, data type mismatch, looping, conditional looping, and logic. So such things which CDS cannot do, you only some kind of imperative logic where you want to implement, you have to go with this. Okay, that's the reason why we use this. Let me take a real-time practical example. Recently, I was reading through some post on SDN, and there was a requirement. One guy have written a CDS view where he wanted to join a table called BUT 000, which has the business partner information, and there is another table in CRM called CRMD partner table. These two database tables are there in your SAP system, and the guy wanted to basically join these two tables because your business partner information like name, title of a business partner is present in here, and service order information for a partner was present in this table. Okay, and there was a requirement for him to join these two database tables, and he wanted to do it using CDS view. Now that is not possible using CDS view. Why? Reason is so simple, the data type mismatch. So if I go to the system, I'm not sure in our cal system do we have the data now available in these tables, but let me quickly show you. Okay, I just got to quickly connect again. So let me just connect to about. This is all real-time things, guys. Real-time, real business examples. I search a lot of on internet to find these kind of examples, and then I will bring it on table. So I'll just connect again and just show you the tables quickly, both the tables, and show you how can you implement CDS table function feature to achieve this requirement. When you have a data mismatch between two database tables, that time this will be useful. So if you come to this CRM MD table, you will see the partner GUID is a raw 16. Okay, it's a raw 16 field. Okay, so partner GUID in this table is a raw 16 in this particular table, and if you go to the business partner table, which is BUT 000, from where CRM is picking the business partner data, you see this partner is care 10. Okay, I think they are joining different columns. So in the partner table it is partner GUID. Sorry, in this business partner table it is partner GUID. So if you come down, you will see a partner GUID field. So there we saw it was raw 18, and if I search here partner GUID, this is the field, and you see it is raw 16. So here it is raw 16, and there it is partner number is different. So if you go back, partner number is different. So partner number field of CRMD partner table, and here you will see partner number. So let me search for number field. So there it was raw 16, and here it is character 32. If you create a CDS view now on these two tables, joining them, it will give you an error. It won't allow you to activate your CDS view. Let me show you that quickly. So go back, right click. We are rushing out of time. I will do it little fast. So create a CDS view, ZCDS demo flop, because it's subjected to flop. So flop view, and say finish. And I'm just going to create a join association between these two tables, my CRM business partner table and BUT 000 table. So let's define a SQL view name over here. So VMO flop, and I will put my first database table from CRMD partner table as partner. And then of course, to define a join, we will be using association concept, association of one, and association to my BUT 000 table as underscore bupa. Remember the naming convention for association on dollar projection dot, I will be choosing partner number, and I will be matching it with bupa, which is my this table dot partner GUID. Okay, and now maybe I just quickly select only one column from my BUT table, my partner table, partner dot partner number as number. So this was the requirement posted by one of the person on SDN. So he wanted to join these two tables, and now I save this, it got saved. Let's try to do a check. Since these two columns have different data type, one is raw 16 and one is character, then it will give you an error. It won't allow you to activate your CDS. So let's activate, and oops, by any chance it's allowing kind of. I'm not sure what's the reason, but it will not allow. So I think I've done some mistake. Bupa is not used. That's okay. We can just also put expose the Bupa, the association I'm exposing, guys. So let me just save this now. It will definitely not allow. Yes, now you see, it's not allowing me. So you see, it's giving me an error. Association, this do not have compatible type. See guys, you're getting the error now. The moment you are exposing the association, it is now going to do the join. Otherwise, it won't care the join, because for just getting the partner number, why does it need to join the tables? It is only coming from partner table. The moment you put associated column in exposed association, it joins. It now evaluates the join and gives you an error. So you see, it won't allow me to activate now. You see, error is coming. So how do you now address this requirement? It may happen very often in your real-time business also, correct? Now, would you change your database table? So one answer is coming here. It's funny answer, but yeah, of course, probably would you go and change your database table data type? Very risky in real-time business. Nobody will allow you to do a DDIC change. Okay. Another question here, would you have a possibility to remove leading zero? No, it's nothing about leading zero. It's about data type. One is character and one is raw. Even though the number of characters would be same, since the data type is different, you will have issues. One is raw, one is character. Okay. Now, with NetWeaver 7.5, there is a feature called call an ABAP managed data procedure from CDS view, AMDP. It's called CDS table function. NetWeaver 7.5 does this for you. So let's create a table function called an AMDP, which can then do this join and return me the data. I will be little fast. Let me create a new CDS view. So I say ZCDS table function, CDS. Nobody will show guys these concepts. They're latest and greatest concept in CDS. Majority of the trainers don't even know these concepts. ZCDS table FUC, and I just name it ZCDS V FUC. And now what we will do here, okay, now it's better if I use a template to create my table function. So let me delete this. It's better I will create a template, guys. So template is available to generate table function for you rather than you writing everything. There is a ready-made template which we can use. Say new data definition, put your view name again, table function CDS, next, and I will next. And now you see define table function with parameters. This template we will use. Okay. Now finish. We are good. And you would see it will automatically create for us a table function CDS views. Okay, now let's give this an end user label. That's okay. And now you can also define a parameter along with this. Now you remember that whenever you're writing SQL code, it's important that we take care of client ourselves. So it's better to create a client parameter which can be passed from the consumer side. So let's create a parameter called client, and parameter type is abap.clnt field. So I'll use that. Now another annotation in CDS view, very important. If you want to use ready-made system variables like current login language, current client and other stuff, you can make use of @ environment annotation. Okay, these annotations you can make use of in CDS if you want to pass uh, default value to a parameter from the system. So @ environment system field and control space, and I want to pass client value by default to this parameter p client. That's a annotation available in CDS to pass default system fields. Like you also have current login language, system date, system time, current user, all that you can make use of this environment annotation. Okay, now next we will be writing here a couple of columns which we would like to select. So one column is client column I want to select. Then I want to also select the partner number. And of course, you can give the data element over here. So I will choose the CRMT partner number data element, I think. Hope I'm remembering it. Partner number. Yes, we have it. Good. Semicolon once again. Next column, I want title from AD underscore title data element. Next, I want is name first. And I will say BU underscore name P underscore F. That's a name, first name of the business partner, name text. And then say BU underscore name one TX. That's the data element for this. Okay. So all that we have given. So we are good with the number of columns which we want to return out of my CDS view. And you see here now implemented by class name and method name. So now you have to mention a class name. So let me mention ZCL underscore AMDP BP underscore details as a class name. And I will just create an AMDP method now, CRMD partner, let's say BUT000. So basically we're joining CRM partner and business partner table. Save the CDS view. Just activate the CDS view and go ahead and start writing your AMDP class quickly. Activated. Good. Let's write a class now. So right click on objects and project, create a new class. Yes, ABAP class. I hope you all remember our discussion about AMDP, ABAP managed data procedure. We have to give special power to this class using an ABAP managed data procedure method interface. So let's browse the packages. Maybe I'll create it in local package. So my CDS AMDP class, and browse the packages and say $TMP. Yes, we have a $temp package. Say next. No transport, finish. A new class gets created for us, and we will now make it as an AMDP marker class. So AMDP I already taught you in the previous chapters, guys. What is an ABAP managed data procedure, how to write SQL script code in AMDP, and what is SQL script. We had detailed sessions on SQL script. One of the video I already posted on YouTube for SQL script as well. Public section, let's write interfaces, and then here if AMDP marker HDB. That's a special power to create it as an AMDP class. And then of course I have to now define my class method, and whatever method name we have given here, let's bring it up, and then for table function. And then you have to now write here CDS entity name for which you're creating this CDS function. Okay, so now let's go ahead and implement this in the implementation of our code. So method name, do you remember by database function for language SQL script? So this was the syntax to define an ABAP managed data procedure final method. So you have to provide all these parameters, and then you have to use using clause and mention the database tables which you're going to use in AMDP. CRMD partner table is what I want to use, and also BUT000 is the table I want to use. End method. And let's return now a simple select query as an output from this. So I say return, select my data, whatever data I want to select. So sc.client as client. Next column I want is from my SC partner number as partner number. Oops. And then next was SC, my next table, which is sp.title as title. So basically I will give alias name for my tables, guys. sp.name underscore first column as name first, sp.name one text as name text. Never copy paste the code, guys. CRMD partner table as SC, inner join BUT 000 table. It's not BUT_000 as SP on sc.client. Of course, you have to also manage the client, guys, because it's a SQL script. And c dot partner number column with sp.partner GUID. And this was the join which was hampering us creating a CDS view, which is now possible with ABAP managed data procedure. You can directly call it sc.client equals to my parameter of the client which I'm passing. Remember, in SQL script we use smiley when we use an existing parameter, and that's a parameter p client which gets passed to the AMDP from the CDS view. Save this. That's it. We are done. Why it's giving me an error here? So select this column, this column, this column, this column, this column, and this column from this table as this. It's giving me an error. Okay, I did a wrong misspelling. Yeah, we are good. Okay, it's giving me an error here. Now let's see. Database function must be read only. Use options read only. Okay, no problem. Options read only. No problem. Let's save this. And now sc dot partner number, of course, the alias name dot column name. We are good. Save this. Let's activate our ABAP managed data procedure. Make sure you have to handle the client yourself. It's a SQL code, gets pushed down to the database, and underlying database procedure gets created when first time AMDP is called. We are done. You can now do a data preview of the CDS view. Press F8 directly on the CDS view, and voila. Oops. Right now, I think we don't have data in our database table. That's why it's giving empty. But if you have data in database table, of course, you will get the data. You see no error is coming because successfully able to activate this. And this can be consumed by other CDS views as well now. And you see it didn't give me a pop-up for client field to be passed because I have already annotated here that current login client should be passed in this parameter automatically. Okay, so it didn't give me a pop-up for passing the client field. Let me just come back and make sure that there is no data in the table. Otherwise we need to probably check. I F8 and yes, you see no table entry found. So there is no data in our CRMD partner table. Of course, we can't see any output. There's no data in the system. But yes, this is how you can achieve very good example for ABAP managed data procedure. This is what I learned from internet and I have presented it in front of you as a real practical example. But there could be more used cases. You can also call our entire open item analysis scenario end to end with the help of this. Okay, complete open item scenario you can call with the table function feature of CDS view. Now next question is about authorizations. Nobody will cover authorization of CDS views. Let's look at how can we restrict the data records which are coming from CDS view. How can we secure our CDS data? Because it's all about reading the data. CDS is all about reading. So how can you secure your data access using CDS? Let's go to any existing CDS view and maybe I'll just see some CDS view over here. So what is it reading? It's reading business partner address data. Okay, let's try running this. Let's see what it returns me. It gives me a lot of business partner data. Okay, additionally I want to also just maybe return the country value, which country this business partner belongs to. So I just use association address dot country. Yes, we have country field here, and as country, save this and activate the CDS. So there is this CDS which we created in last session where we are creating relation between business partner and the address. Okay, so let's execute the CDS, and now you see it's also showing the business partner country. Now suppose I don't want my business user to see the data for every business partner in every country. Okay, I want to restrict read of my data access based on my users in SAP system. So suppose a user who is in US country, who is assigned a role for US, should only be able to see the data for US business partners. if a customer or if a clerk in the company working in Germany, only he should see the business partner data for Germany. Why should he should be given authorization to look at business partner of US? How can we restrict it in SAP? That's done using creation of roles. So I will now define a role, and then I will attach that role to a CDS data access concept, and I will show you how can we do this restriction automatically. Let's go to our backend system and go to transaction PFCG to define a new role for business partner country. So I will just define Z role BU Bupa country, and let's create this role Z Bupa country, and let's come to create. Let's create new or role for country partner. Save this. And now what I'm going to do is I will also define an authorization object. So let's define in SU21. Hope you guys, those who are ABAPers, already know the authorization concept in SAP. So I'm defining in SU21 a new authorization object. So let me go to SU21 and create a new authorization object for our purpose. I will first create an authorization class, and then I will create an authorization object. So authorization object class, and I will say ZBUP, and I will just name it as business partner, and then local object for time being. Click on OK, and you see ZBUP created. Right click and create an authorization object in this class, and I will just name it as ZBUP CTRY if it allows. It's not there, good. Business partner country, and we will be including some fields in this now. Okay, so let's do a field maintenance of this business partner authorization object, and I will probably also create a country field here. Okay, CTRY. Hope you all know this concept, guys. What is authorization concept in SAP? So land1 is the database for country I will use, and there is a table called T001. Hopefully this is the table for country codes. Anybody, what is the table for country codes in SAP? Anyone, do you remember? Is it T100? T005? Okay, no problem, but we just use the data element to create this field CTRY. And now we will just go to our uh, authorization object and add this country field as well as an activity field. Okay, so I will come here and now maintain authorization fields, country and activity. Great. So that's how you create an authority object in SAP. Hope this is clear to everybody. Basic ABAP stuff. This is what I taught in my ABAP programming course. Those who don't know, please subscribe my ABAP programming course. You will know how to create authorization objects in SAP ABAP. This is a very basic thing every ABAPer should know. Now I will also say permitted activities for this is display, only display. If user has authorization to display some particular country business partners or not. Save this. Everything looks okay, cool, green, and we are ready with this authorization object. Let's include this authorization object in our business role, sorry, in our technical role which we created. And I come to authorizations and just create change authorizations data. Okay, it's good I have authorization, every authorization in our cal server. That's what happens when you take the server from cal. If you take server from Hyderabad, people will not give you these critical authorizations to define roles and stuff, so you will feel it difficult to practice such things. Okay, now expand it and you see now activity and country. Right now I want to mark it with all activities, and country I will choose it. So let's say currently the people only should have, or if this role is given to somebody, that the person should only have authorizations to see users or business partners of US country. Okay, so let me search US. Anytime my cal server may end, guys, because I have set it to 3 hours. It will get over. Maybe we have to continue our session in the next class. So I will search here US. Why it's not searching? Let's say US once again. Okay, it's not searching US. Yes, here it is. So I will mark the value as US. So I'm creating an authorization concept or an authorization role, that if this role is granted to a user, he will be allowed to see only US business partners. Okay, click on OK. We are good, done. Congratulations, we have created successfully your first role in SAP. This role will be helpful now to do an access control of CDS data. Let's come back to CDS. Right click, data definition, sorry, core data service, new access control, guys. Create an access control, and I say Z business partner country, BUPA underscore country. And now the moment I will imply this access control, people will not be able to access um, our CDS view, guys. Okay, nobody will have access to any data in CDS the moment I imply this. So I will come back and let me imply this. So I will just imply it on our CDS view. Why CDS Bupa? Here it is, where uh, my country. So field is country is equals to aspect PFCG, my role and activity. I have to code it here as it is. And what's my role? So let me just put my role. CTRY is the field, and my role name is this. This is the role we have to check. This is the field. Activity 03 we have to check and make sure that if those users who has this authorization should be able to access it. It's an error coming. Why? Save this. Let's do a check. What's the error? Why it's giving me an error here? Do I need to put it in my single quote? No, I don't think so. Why it's giving me an error? So here we are putting now our role name, our field, what we are checking, and activity equals to 03. If the user has display authorization for a given country, then user will be with this particular role is assigned with, let's say, do I need to give the value here? I don't think so. I don't think so. No, it should be automatic. Let me save this. Why it's not giving activation? Grant select on this particular CDS view where country is equals to this. Let me do a quick check and try to activate this. So now those users who has authorizations. Okay, I missed one. Guys, we are missing something actually. Okay, I think server is down. So we will continue our class from here on in the next class, and I will complete this. So the moment I will activate this, what will happen is nobody will be able to access data from my business partner CDS view. And then if you want to give access to the user, you have to grant the role which you created. So we had created one role in the system, this PFCG role, and I will assign this role to my user. Then also, only since I have my role has US country, only the user who has this role will be able to look at the business partner data for US country. And when I change the role accordingly, the user will get more access. So entire access will be then controlled by my PFCG role, not with these CDS objects basically. So this is the authorization concept for CDS. We will continue this since I had set the limit for my cal server 3 hours. It got switched off now. So we will continue anyways. We're already out of time. In next class, I will show you authorization concept completion, and then we will move to S4HANA CDS modeling, and then we will build a complete end-to-end analytical app, and then we will talk about the pending topic, which is ALV with integrated data access and fuzzy search in ABAP on HANA. And this all logic, all the concepts together will make you prepare for your certification exam. Okay, So that's it from my side today. Any questions, feel free to ask before we close today's class. Anybody, any questions? Anyone? No questions? DML is not supported using CDS view. CDS view is all about DDL, DCL, and DQL. Data query language, data definition language, and data control language, which we are seeing now, the S4, the CDS concept for authorization control. There is no DML with CDS views. Any other questions? Anybody? Before we close today's class. It was too many concepts today in one single class. I hope you enjoyed today's session, especially the connection from HCP and our on-premise system and exposing this over the internet. In which situation CDS is faster than OpenSQL? Always, in case of, so the general guideline is if you have only a query which is used once, you can use OpenSQL. But in all other cases, go for CDS. You have to go ahead with CDS views in all the other cases. That's the general guideline, and that's what S4HANA is. In S4HANA, you will see majority of the applications uses CDS views. They don't write OpenSQL anymore, because you will see in OpenSQL there are 100% chances that developer writes select star. But if you do CDS, of course, you would avoid such situations where you would really leverage the power of SAP HANA and code to data paradigm, which we learned in previous classes. Can you please show us how to test a CDS? Yes, we will see that in the next class when we will build VDM model using CDS view. We will see how to test a CDS view using concept, using there are circuit transaction RS, RTRS underscore ODP underscore DIS. Using that, you can test your analytical CDS view, your analytical queries. We will see that in the next unit on NetWeaver 7.5, how to test your CDS. Okay, and of course you already learned it, how to write select query on CDS, how to also test a CDS locally within your ABAP on Eclipse using a data preview. But of course, with the data preview, you can't test aggregations, like if it is doing sum min max properly when it is combined with an analytical query. You can test that using those transaction RS, RTS, ODP, DIS, and there is another transaction for query monitor, RSRT transaction. We'll see that in the next class. Any other questions? No questions? Great. So with that, it's a wrap on today's class. Thank you so much for your time. See you tomorrow at the same time. Have a nice day and goodbye.